There's this really unique and profound pain that comes when you feel like you're on the outside of your own life, that the people you know, maybe even people you love, have suddenly turned against you. It's confusing, it's destabilizing, and it is just deeply, deeply isolating. Today, we're going to break down exactly why this happens and, more importantly, lay out a clear, strategic path forward. Have you ever found yourself in that situation where it feels like your reputation is just being dismantled behind your back, and you're left just wondering, what did I do? How did this even happen? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not alone, and what you're feeling is an absolutely valid and very real response to an incredibly difficult situation. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to walk through 6 key stages. First, we'll get into the biology of why this hurts so much. Then, we'll identify the manipulative tactics at play. After that, we'll talk about reframing the attacks, learning how to respond effectively, assessing your relationships, and finally, using this whole painful experience as a catalyst for some really profound personal growth. To really get a handle on why social rejection is so painful, we have to start with our own biology. This isn't just about hurt feelings. We're talking about a deep-seated survival instinct here. Think about it. We're evolutionarily programmed to be social creatures. For thousands of years, our connection to the tribe was our ultimate survival tool. It meant someone was watching for predators while we slept. Belonging literally meant safety. And because of that deep primal wiring, your brain perceives social isolation not just as some emotional slight, but as a genuine threat to your physical safety. That's why a smear campaign or being ostracized can create such intense mental anguish. Your nervous system is basically sounding a 5-alarm fire. Okay, so now let's look at a very common external force that can trigger this feeling of isolation. It's a specific kind of manipulation, and it's designed to turn your own network against you. Just understanding it is the very first step to disarming it. This tactic is often referred to as using flying monkeys. What happens is a narcissistic or manipulative person enlists people who are important to you, your friends, your family, even your coworkers, and uses them to spread misinformation, twisting them into allies for their cause. So, how do they pull this off? Well, these types of manipulators are often masters of performance. They'll use their charm and charisma to paint themselves as a sympathetic victim. They set the stage perfectly, saying things like, "Oh, this is so hard for me to say," right before they fabricate lies or betray confidences you once shared with them. It is, for all intents and purposes, a calculated reputational attack. Now, this is the most crucial point to understand about their motivation. This isn't really about you. It's an insecure person's childish game for power. They treat people like pawns on a chessboard, just moving them around to secure the win and feel a sense of control that they're desperately lacking on the inside. Now that we understand the external tactic, let's shift our focus inward. And no, not to blame ourselves, but to understand the psychological mechanism that's driving the person attacking you. This is where you really begin to take your power back. Here is a core principle to hold on to. How people treat you is almost always a projection of how they feel about themselves. The hate, the cruelty, the absolute need to tear you down, it's a direct reflection of their own internal pain. You have to imagine, the amount of hate they must carry in their heart has to be torturous, and they lash out just to release some of that pressure. So your most powerful defense, then, isn't a better argument. It's mindfulness. The hurtful words they use are just combinations of sounds designed to attack your ego, that part of you that feels personally slighted. By cultivating presence, you create a little bit of space between their words and your true sense of self, and that space makes their attacks practically impenetrable to your core of inner peace. With this understanding, we can now move to action, but not reactive, defensive action. The goal here is to respond with a kind of strategic grace that totally disempowers the manipulator and lets you maintain your own dignity. Your first instinct is probably to fight back, to argue, defend, explain yourself into the ground. But that only feeds the drama they want. So instead of reacting, choose to respond. Don't play their game. Simply be the person you have always been. Let your consistent character and your actions speak way louder than their temporary lies. Really, the best way to disempower their darkness is to just bring in your own light. Now, if you do get a chance to speak with a friend who's heard these rumors, resist that powerful urge to just say, "That's not true." Instead, calmly and genuinely ask this question. "I'm so sorry you were put in the middle of that. Does what you were told sound consistent with the person you know me to be?" This puts the focus right back on your shared history and their own judgment, instead of getting you lost in a pointless he said, she said debate. All right, now for one of the most difficult, but also one of the most clarifying parts of this process. This whole experience, as painful as it is, it serves as a kind of involuntary audit of your relationships. It's going to reveal who was truly in your corner all along. It's a hard truth to accept, but it's also an incredibly powerful one. If a relationship could be severed so easily by one person's story, without even a conversation, it forces you to question the strength of that connection to begin with. And this is the key metric. The people you have a truly healthy connection with, the ones who value and respect you, they won't just blindly accept a negative story. It will feel wrong to them. They'll come to you, they'll ask questions, and they will give you the basic human dignity of hearing your perspective. Those are the relationships to invest in. And all of this leads us to the final and most important phase, recovery and growth. This painful chapter does not have to be the end of your story. In fact, it can be the beginning of a much more authentic and resilient one. But first, it is absolutely essential to acknowledge the severity of what you've been through. Having your reality questioned and your support system attacked, that's a profound form of gaslighting. It is completely normal and totally okay to feel like your world is crashing down. Please give yourself the grace to process that grief and that hurt. The path forward really involves a dual approach. First, turn your attention inward. Use this time to nourish your soul. Maybe that's through meditation, learning a new language, picking up an instrument, or getting into athletics. Build up your inner strength. Then, at the same time, begin to build a new community. Seek out your tribe, those like-minded, beautiful souls who will see and respect you for exactly who you are. Doing both of these simultaneously creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop of healing. Ultimately, you cannot control what other people think, say, or do. You can't stop someone from trying to create chaos. The only thing you can ever truly control is your own response. So the question to leave you with is this: are you going to allow their negativity and cruelty to dictate your inner state, or will you choose to respond with the unshakable grace that comes from your own inner strength? The choice, always, is yours.